Week 6 in the NFL.
There he is, the 6th-round pick from Washington State, Gardner Minshew, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. He has come in and give the Jaguars hope.
Here's Teddy Bridgewater. He's won all 3 of his starts in place of the injured Drew Brees. The offense has not missed a beat, completing 75% of his balls.
How about this? Born 3 days apart, drafted 2 picks apart. It's Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, the 2 most exciting players in the NFL, doing battle today at Arrowhead. Buckle up, folks.
All right, guys, guess who's back? Tyreek Hill, the man known as Cheetah, because this cat is the fastest man alive, because he's super bad.
Hello, everyone. I'm James Brown. Welcome to the NFL Today, powered by Ram Trucks. Doubleheader day here on CBS, so let's get right to the headlines. The New York Jets get second-year quarterback Sam Darnold back in the fold today, just in time to welcome in Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, who, by the way, are looking to get back in the saddle after 2 consecutive losses. An understudy who has stepped into the lead role and not missed a beat, as Coach said, that Saints quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. He looks to keep Nolans rolling in Jacksonville today. And speaking of signal callers, you heard the guys say this as well, a showdown between 2 of the league's best square off today in Kansas City as Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson go toe-to-toe in a big AFC matchup.
Deshaun Watson. What a throw by Watson. Frozen rope. Deshaun wants to run it. DW4 for 6.
Watson throwing.
Touchdown!
Patrick Mahomes is in the zone.
Touchdown!
That is like a video game.
Mahomes, and he'll sprint and fires it late for the end zone. Patrick Mahomes, welcome again to the Magic Show. Watson, he is a magician.
You give Watson time, and he will make you pay.
Watson putting on a show.
The MVP taking over the game.
Patrick Mahomes, worth the price of
A
admission.
couple of MVP candidates, Deshaun Watson versus Mahomes.
2 best young quarterbacks in football.
And back here inside of Studio 43, I'm joined at the desk by my colleagues, Phil Simms, Bill Coward, Nate Burleson, and Boomer Esiason. And a special welcome to Mr. Commercial, golf superstar, Tony Romo joins us. Hey, just a little football. That before he heads out to East Rutherford to call the Cowboys-Jets game. Look, I'll take up golf if you can find me a cup that big on the golf course.
I'll stay with golf if you find me
No
a cup that
question
big,
about it.
so.
Fellas, you glad to have him in the house
Yes,
today?
we are. Now I know why the food's so much better today than it has been over the past
he
couple
Is that it, huh?
Yeah,
You see the camera crew that followed him in here today?
Yeah,
It's here. We're here.
Reality
Let's go.
show.
I didn't know if it was
Tony Romo or Tony Kardashian.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Just actually, Nate Burleson's just a family crew walking around with switched over.
They gave TR a chance to say something to it. All right, folks, we are expecting a high-scoring affair between the Texans and the Chiefs, as we mentioned, as 2 of the league's best quarterbacks face off in KC.
Yeah, we do. We got Deshaun Watson against, Patrick Mahomes today. But, for Deshaun Watson, what's really changed for the Houston's offense, they now have an offensive line. They can protect him. How about last week? Did not get hit, no sacks. He has good wide receivers and DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller. They got the speed and route running to get down the field. And when you look at their offense, it kind of reminds me of Kansas City's. They go deep down the field, and they make you play from sideline to sideline.
Well, for me, guys, I would just say this. And, Tony, I don't know if you agree with me, but I talked to Frank Reich last week as they were preparing for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he said, man, Patrick Mahomes is doing things on film that he has never, ever seen before, and the numbers bear that out. And, of course, Deshaun Watson, his numbers are comparable. He actually did something last week on the field that only one of the guys ever done in the history of the NFL. That was me, by the way.
Yeah.
Over 400 yards, 40 yards, 5 touchdowns. And no interceptions.
Get used to that.
But just get used to that, Tony. The fact of the matter is these 2 are really, coming into their own right now. They're in their 3rd season. They're 3 days born apart, 2 draft picks apart, and these are 2 of the most exciting players that we have ever seen.
Yeah, I think what you find, you're exactly right. What Mahomes does, no one does. And it's almost rare because he has the calmness sometimes that you see of an Aaron Rodgers or a Brady, where it looks like they're moving slowly in the pocket, yet he has these instincts of Favre where it's like his brain can work really fast. Slide, move, make someone miss, that's just instinctful. So it's just a rare gift that, the good Lord gave this kid, and he's a great kid, and you root for guys like that. Then you got Watson, and you talk about him. His gifts are a little bit different, yet really unique in other ways, too. I see him under pressure almost stand in there, slide a little bit with a free safety coming right at him, and he throws a seam route 50 yards downfield and takes the hit. Where other guys are, get rid of the ball, boom, you got 5 yards, good play, quarterback. He's throwing touchdowns on stuff that other people don't. His calmness under pressure is impressive as well. So 2 really, really good young quarterbacks.
Yeah, 2 words that stand out when you're talking, Tony. It's calmness and pressure. And we saw what Deshaun Watson was able to do when he didn't have that pressure. You know, he's prolific in passing. You know, DeAndre Hopkins didn't need to have a big game because Will Fuller stepped up. But on the flip side, we saw Patrick Mahomes last week versus the Colts for the first time in a long time look uncomfortable in the pocket. And I liken it to when the Detroit Pistons beat up on Michael Jordan. They said if he comes in that hole, we're putting forearms in the middle of his chest. We're going to make sure that he feels us, feels our presence. And last week the Colts did that. They hit him 8 times. He was sacked 4 times. And for the first time since he's been in the league, Patrick Mahomes was a little hesitant in that pocket. I want to know if that's going to be the blueprint moving forward, Coach, to try to stop a guy like that or at least slow down Pat Mahomes.
You know, you look at the Kansas City offense, you get enthralled in Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and the skill people. But their offensive line, their inability to run the ball effectively, and really, if you can't run the ball effectively, you probably can't defend to run effectively. And I think if you look at these 2 lines for the Kansas City Chiefs, it is concerning to me moving forward because they got to be more balanced. You look at the Houston offense, it's a little bit of a different approach to it. But there's balance in run, there's balance in pass. And I look at them and just say, do they have something that's more sustainable? They have a little bit of a war, too. Their secondary has given up a lot of big plays. But I just feel like the offensive and defensive lines of the Kansas City Chiefs, I get concerned moving forward. Are they going to be able to be there as they've been in the past in December? What do you think?
One of the things that Phil has always talked about, we've got a great cast of young quarterbacks in the league now that speaks well for the future.
Oh, absolutely. And to Coach's point, I mean, when you have these quarterbacks, you have a chance. That already. Yeah. With these systems that Andy Reid puts together there with those players, you have a chance. However, as the weather gets worse, and it invariably does, it gets tougher to continue to play the style you play in September and October. That's why the defense and offensive lines matter. Last week, the Colts, they played complementary football in a really unique way. They got their hands on the receivers at the line of scrimmage, which gave the half a second longer for these D linemen to make Mahomes hold that ball.
Yeah, you know, Bill, you talk about Kansas City running the football, but, you know, they just refuse to do it.
Right.
And when Patrick Mahomes gets under center, you think, oh, here comes a run. Well, it's usually a play-action pass or a screen. So, and you said it right. I think Indianapolis learned something from Detroit and the playoff game, the championship game last year. If you want to stop that passing game, you better not let those speedy receivers get a running start at you. If you do, you have no chance.
You didn't shy away from physical contact. Nate likes talking about the Motown bruises in basketball, but MJ kept coming to the hole. You didn't shy away, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, listen, what you do is you adjust your game. That's the NFL. Me, personally, I only shy away when Phil and Boomer circle.
That's right.
It's like 2 teddy bears that just tackle each other.
Yeah.
It's not even, it's soft.
The one thing I will say about the not being soft, and that's the running game of the Colts. You remember they held the ball for 37 minutes. That also was a great way to play defense against Kansas City. I don't know if Houston will be able to do that today, but Tyreek Hill is back on the field for the Kansas City Chiefs. That is a big get back for Patrick Mahomes. He's the guy that stretches the offense and, you know, pushes the defense, you know, deeper and opens those zones underneath. I mean, he is just a joystick when you watch him play.
Yeah, Boom, you make a great point because when you look at Patrick Mahomes' numbers this year versus men, his passer rating drops, completion percentage drops, and that's not an indictment on Pat Mahomes, just a simple fact that he doesn't have that cheat code out there. One thing Tyreek Hill can do, he can run you out of zone, and if you play man coverage, he will run past anybody in this league. And having him back on the field, what does it do as a quarterback? It just opens up everything. So they should be more explosive.
Double teaming.
He can run through a double team.
If I'm Houston, I dare the Chiefs to run the football.
Tyreek Hill back on the field for KC. TR is in the house with us for at least another segment. Boomer without the mustache.
Well, how about Gardner Minshew? Jacksonville gave out 35,000 mustaches today. As a matter of fact, Phil was going to go down there and cut his jean shorts off because if he would have had jorts on, he would have gotten a free ticket to today's game.
I don't want to see them legs.
I don't want to see it.
It's week 6, and it's starting to get crowded atop the NFC. Find out who Nate thinks will separate themselves from the pack. Teddy Bridgewater has the Saints marching on a winning path.
Beautiful throw there by Teddy Bridgewater.
And the team hasn't missed a beat since losing Drew Brees to injury in week 2.
This is a very, very dangerous football team moving forward. They're now 3-0 without Drew Brees as a starter.
And speaking of Breeze, Coach went down to the Big Easy to find out how the future Hall of Famer has been spending his Friday nights.
Football in America. Tell me how this came about.
All that and more when the NFL Today on CBS returns. The NFL Today on CBS Sports is powered by Ram Trucks.
You have a quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater that's starting to build some confidence. Dances between two defenders. There's Teddy Bridgewater down the middle. Wide open. Touchdown.
Try to be the best version of Teddy that I can be.
He didn't even know how to begin to try to defend that. Boom! Across the goal line. There it is to Thomas for the touchdown.
You just saw why he's the highest paid backup.
Yeah.
Seeing the smiles on the fans' face, walking to this locker room, seeing the smiles on everyone's face. That's the number one thing on my mind when I wake up on game day.
64 degrees with a slight breeze for the Bengals and Ravens here in Baltimore as we pick up from the NFL Today in New York with some technical problems there. Let's highlight this game, and then we'll talk about Kansas City and the Houston Texans coming up. Here we see a Baltimore team that won in overtime in Pittsburgh last week, yet the Baltimore quarterback, Lamar Jackson, has not had his best days over the last couple weeks.
No, he hasn't, Kevin, but I got to tell you, he's been fun to watch. He can turn a broken play into a big play at any moment. And, you know, I think his explosive ability with the ball and his hands either as a runner or a passer is a big part of what they want to do in the running game. Of course, Mark Ingram. And they've combined to spearhead what is the league's second-ranked rushing offense.
Rich, what kind of season has Cincinnati Bengal quarterback Andy Dalton had so far?
Well, I think it's been a frustrating year for Dalton and the entire team. And I really think for the Bengals to get their first win of the season, they're going to need strong performances from their big knockers, starting with Andy Dalton, who's had some of his best career days versus the Ravens. And, you know, last season's leading rusher in the AFC, Joe Mixon, he's a big part of an offense that's averaging just 61 yards a game on the ground. That's got to change. And I think the one bright spot has been the play of Tyler Boyd, who leads the team in receptions and yards. He's a security blanket, obviously, for Dalton in third down and in the red zone.
And he'll be matching up against Marlon Humphrey on that Raven defense, one of the premier corners in the NFL. And Rich, I know you think very highly on the defensive line of tackle Brandon Williams.
Yeah, we talk about a lot of the perimeter defensive players, the linebackers, the corners, and the safeties, but if you really study the tape, you'll find it starts up front with the play of Brandon Williams, who really does a lot of the dirty work along that defensive line.
The Bengal defense, Rich, certainly has struggled this season.
Yeah, I think when you look at the strength of that defense, it's their cover corners. They have a couple good ones in Drake Kirkpatrick and William Jackson. I think where they have struggled is stopping the run. They're 31st against the run. They get up 168 yards a game, and unfortunately, they face a Baltimore offense that's second in rushing. So that, to me, is going to be the matchup to watch. Can Cincinnati slow down the Ravens' rushing attack?
All right, that's a story here in Baltimore. A game most of you are going to see in Kansas City at Rockin' Arrowhead Stadium. The Houston Texans were playing well, and the Kansas City Chiefs are coming off a loss on Sunday night at home against the Indianapolis Colts.
I go back a couple of weeks ago. You know, the Texans lose the game at home, and Deshaun Watson grabs his quarterback coach. They go out on the stadium field, and they start working on some of the mistakes that they made in that game. And, of course, last week, it was a much different story. He throws for 5 touchdowns, over 400 yards. He had a perfect quarterback rating. They looked red hot on offense. That's going to be a great matchup to watch.
Two of the young great quarterbacks in the NFL, Mahomes of Kansas City, Watson in Houston. Now let's take you to Jacksonville. Here is Greg Gumbel and Trent Green.
All right, Kevin, thank you. And hello, everyone. Welcome to Jacksonville. Greg Gumbel along with Trent Green got the Saints and the Jaguars coming your way at the top of the hour. And we figure this game should provide plenty of offense because there are an awful lot of offensive weapons. Let's start with the quarterbacks.
Well, the quarterbacks are two outstanding stories. When you consider there are only 2 games in the NFL today where both quarterbacks are over a quarterback rating of 100. And we have 2 of them, and they're both backups. So let's start with Gardner Minshew and what he's been able to do. Well, actually, we're going to start with Teddy Bridgewater first. What he's been able to do, over 300 yards last week's game, tied a career high with 4 touchdown passes. Teddy's in a really good place. We had a chance to talk with him last night. He understands what he has on this team, in this locker room. That's why he wanted to come back. He feels this team is close to taking it to that next step, and he just feels in a really good place mentally. Of course, 2014 and 15, he had really good seasons, first year, second year, and then he had the devastating knee injury before the 2016 season, missed 16 and part of 17 coming back from that knee injury. Then Gardner Minshew for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Listen, 6th round pick. Nobody expected much out of that. All of a sudden, after week 1 or in the middle of week 1, he's thrown into the limelight, and Minshew mania has taken everybody by storm, and he's doing a great job. Look at 9 touchdowns, only 1 interception. He's doing a great job of not throwing interceptions, and for a young quarterback facing complex defenses and coverages, he's doing well.
What a difference in mindset for the coaches. On one side, on New Orleans, they go from Drew Brees to a guy that you know has been there in Teddy Bridgewater. However, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, not sure what they were going to get with Gardner Minshew. Let's talk about the running backs now. A couple of guys who certainly can get the job done. Boy, that's Alvin Kamara all over for the Saints.
Alvin Kamara showed up on the injury report this week. He practiced fully on Wednesday. On Thursday, he was limited. On Friday, he did not practice at all. Of course, you can see him warming up right now. He is going to play today, and that's a critical thing for Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints offense to have because of how good of a weapon he is, not only rushing the football, but receiving. They line him up out wide as a wide receiver at times. They utilize him out of the backfield in a number of different ways, specifically with the screen passing game, but he's very talented when it comes to just multifaceted type of running back. On the other side, Leonard Fournette is having a great year, especially the last 2 weeks, but he does it in a different way. His game is more centered on what goes on the ground, his ability to run the football. 2 weeks ago, over 200 yards rushing. Last week, over 100 yards. You can see averaging over 5 yards per carry. It's nice to see him back running the ball so effectively.
So we talked about the quarterbacks. We talked about the running backs. Take a look at the wide receivers on display here. Mike Thomas of the Saints, cream of the crop in the National Football League. And for the Jacksonville Jaguars, DJ Chark has blossomed here in Jacksonville.
Well, let's start with Michael Thomas because he is the leading receiver in the NFL. He leads the NFL in receptions. He leads the NFL in receiving yards. And you know, you and I were talking about this. It doesn't seem like he gets enough credit when you start talking about the elite receivers in the NFL, but yet his numbers back it up. That's why the Saints gave him an extension this year to make him feel like that elite guy. And then DJ Chark, just in his second year, had an okay first year, but has really stepped up his game. He leads the NFL with 7 receptions of over 30 yards. You can see the numbers right there. He's done a great job for Gardner Minshew.
So the Saints 4-1, Jacksonville Jaguars 2-3. That's coming up here at the top of the hour. Meanwhile, call the neighbors right now to Kansas City. Ian Eagle and Dan Fouts.
All right, Greg, Trent, thank you very much. 2 first-place teams going head-to-head today in KC. Temperatures expected to be in the low 60s here. Perfect football weather for the Chiefs hosting the Houston Texans. We know the quarterback situation is going to be the main theme in this one with Watson and Mahomes. Let's talk about a huge story, and that's the return of Tyreek Hill. Shoulder clavicle injury that he suffered against Jacksonville in week 1. It is healed, and he is active today, Dan.
Yeah, he went through all the tests, and getting back will help eliminate all the man-to-man pass coverage the Chiefs have faced without him in the lineup.
Well, for Houston, you know, a huge challenge today will be trying to stop Patrick Mahomes. J.J. Watt is on a roll. He has sacked the quarterback in 3 straight games.
Yeah, he told us yesterday he's feeling as healthy as he has in a long, long time, finally getting back to that pass rush dominant self.
The loss to Indianapolis last week for Kansas City was surprising, and the way they lost, the fact that they did not generate the offense that they're accustomed to, and that they could not get anything going in the run game. LaShawn McCoy did not have a carry last week in that loss to Indy.
No, and he only had 2 catches, so he needs to improve his pass protection to get more playing time. Remember, Mahomes operating on a sore left ankle.
McCoy was brought over. There was an opening at running back because they traded Carlos Hyde to Houston, and Hyde has been an excellent fit for the Texans offense.
Yeah, he's the power inside back to go along with Duke Johnson on the outside. 4 yards a carry for Carlos Hyde this season.
Well, for Kansas City, the tight end Travis Kelce, we had a chance to sit down with him earlier this week, and he mentioned that Monday was a strange day at the facility for the Chiefs. There just was this feeling
feeling of defeat for Kansas City, the unexpected loss. Things started to change, though, as the week went on.
Yeah, you hear a lot about the sense of urgency that the Chiefs did not play with last week against the Colts. They have struggled in the red zone, surprisingly, just 10 out of 20, and Kelsey only has 1 touchdown reception so far this season.
Now, we know the Texans secondary will be thoroughly tested this afternoon. Bradley Roby is familiar with this Chiefs offense going back to his Denver days. Keep in mind, no Jonathan Joseph today for Houston.
Yeah, he has really settled in as the Texans' best corner, especially with Jonathan Joseph out. 4.3 speed today will help him cover the speedy wide receivers of the Chiefs, including Tyreek Hill.
Well, for Andy Reid, look, everything was working perfectly this year on offense. Now they're facing a little bit of adversity, and I'm sure Reid wants to see how his team responds today.
Yeah, the big thing was Sammy Watkins out and Tyreek Hill out the last couple weeks. This has been a different pass offense for Patrick Mahomes.
Meanwhile, for Bill O'Brien, they've made some changes on their roster, and a lot of it happened right before the regular season got underway. They're going for a certain kind of personality to fit into their locker room.
Well, he wants to be balanced. He was certainly balanced last week against Atlanta. The key acquisition in my mind, that left tackle, Laramie Tunsil, protecting Deshaun Watson's blind side.
We've had some technical issues back in our studio. Taking care of that, the NFL Today will continue. Getting ready for doubleheader action today. The NFL on CBS. It's week 6. Much more still to come.
1, 2, 3, down there. Touchdown, Kansas City.
It's just surprising when we got behind because we just really believed that we were going to come out here and do what needed to be done to win.
He throws over the middle, Austin 45. Austin will score. Dallas leads for the first time today. It's a hell of a job. I'm finishing now. Castle fires it for ball. Touchdown. And we'll go to overtime.
Something needed to be done, and we didn't think about losing.
Romo throws it right. Austin broke away.
Started looking up on the screen, seeing how far the other guys, they started gaining on me a little bit, so I had to run a little faster.
Austin saved the day. The Cowboys win in overtime.
I was screaming. It was crazy under there.
It's like I was a little kid again.
So that was Romo's first ever overtime win. They beat the Chiefs in OT 26-20. Tony had an outstanding day. But first of all, let me tie this in with what we are experiencing. This is, talk about adjusting on the fly. We apologize for the technical difficulties. Tony said he's going to grade us to see how we're ad-libbing on this.
I'd just like to say one thing. We've had these shows. We've never had issues. The only thing different from a different show to this show is someone else is here.
I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but I will say it's the first time I'm using, is this a real mic? I mean, these look fake from 1982, but it actually works. I kind of like it. Like, I got it actually like, hey, Nate, would you like to talk? Here you go.
Hey, thanks. What about that moment, though? Let me ask you, Tony. What was that moment like? Young Tony out there doing his thing.
Well, it does make me feel old when I see that old haircut. But I will say that I also don't know why we showed that, but it feels good. I feel that you guys now just show each other so you can feel good about yourselves sometimes. But
no, we don't do that.
It was a great moment. The Chiefs game today, Miles Austin, 250 yards, big-time catch, and that's what you play the game for. I mean, those moments like that, that's what's special in the NFL.
You're not being polite, are you, to Tony? I mean,
no, that was a great moment. It was amazing how thin you were back then. That's one thing. And, I remember the days also when I used to hold a mic. I don't hold it no more, so it's a little different thing.
He actually has my jacket on, so what are you saying about me?
Looks better on him than you.
Anyway, so
yes,
we're going to continue to try to work with this back in old school fashion. It is time now to go inside the pregame HQ delivered by Domino's. You know what? There's only one undefeated squad left in the NFC. That will be, of course, the San Francisco 49ers. They will take on the Rams today. So with two of the better teams in the conference squaring off, we asked Nate to come up with his top 5 NFC teams, which, of course, all the guys will agree with.
That's right, JB. Well, let's get right to it, starting with number 5. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, they beat Green Bay. Green Bay's playing really good right now. And on top of that, they have the best run defense in the NFL. You have to respect what they're doing on the defense side of the ball. Number 4, The Packers, like I said, playing really good football. And it isn't just Aaron Rodgers. It's a different Aaron. Aaron Jones, 8 rushing TDs. That leads the NFL. And that big win in Dallas without Devontae Adams, that was huge for this squad. Let's go with number 3, the Saints. Bridgewater, show this man some respect. His completion percentage, 74. Seattle Seahawks at number 3. But listen, here's the thing about Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson's playing at an MVP level, and you can't knock the fact that he's playing the best football he's ever played, and his team will always be in contention. They will run to the playoffs again, once again, on his shoulders. And then number 2, here you are, the New Orleans Saints, 74.7. This is what I was talking about when it comes to Teddy Bridgewater. Put that in perspective. Drew Brees last year, 74.4, led the NFL, and that was an NFL record. So why aren't we giving Teddy Bridgewater the same respect? And number 1, how about the San Francisco 49ers? Listen, I know what you're thinking. You're saying to yourself, Nate, what are you talking about? They have the best scoring, number 2 scoring offense, number 4 scoring defense, and on top of that, they've turned the ball over a ton, and they've created turnovers. So if they clean up on those mistakes, having a top 5 offense, top 5 defense, and they're undefeated, and Coach, I see you looking at me, why don't we give these guys respect? They are undefeated.
You know what? It's so interesting. The team that you want to have up there are the LA Rams. Is that correct?
Yeah, you're right.
So you're saying the LA Rams, who went to the NFC Championship a year ago, Legatron misses a field goal in overtime, where they'd be 4-1 right now, and I guess they're going to play the San Francisco 49ers.
That's right.
And we'll find out. I love what the 49ers do. Can the 49ers play a fast break game? They're going to find out today if they can. I love what they're doing. Toughness, running the football. I think you're absolutely right. Dallas Cowboys, I'd put up there. I think the NFC right now is a very competitive conference.
Yeah, they can play a fast-paced game, but when you have a run game like that, anchored by Breida, why would you need to?
Tony, your thoughts? Take a bite, Tony. What are your thoughts?
Well, I like the 49ers as well, but it's so early in the year for you to just bypass the other teams. Been proving it year in, year out. Like Coach said, the Rams, a little early. However, when you have a defensive line and you have an offensive line, which now is a little different, you know, all of a sudden the tackle's gone for San Francisco. That changes. You may not quite have the same protection. The run game might not be quite the same. So as injuries play out here, it's just going to happen.
Here's Alvin Kamara, and this is Teddy Bridgewater there. This is the team I like at number 1. Why do I like it? I think they have the best offensive line in football. When your backup quarterback can come in and play the way Teddy Bridgewater is playing, you got Michael Thomas, of course, the outside. It means you got it. On defense, they're rugged. They're playing better. They got a corner in Marshawn Lattimore that's playing really well. They can match up against the number 1 receiver. There's nothing not to like about the New Orleans Saints.
So you know what? We've got TR in the studio. We cannot not talk about the Cowboys.
That's
I want to hear him.
No,
put him on the spot with some tough questions as well, but go ahead.
Okay, let me just talk about the Cowboys. Do we have any questions?
Here's my question. Did Dak Prescott make the right call by not accepting the contract before the season started? And you think right now it's done until the end of the season?
It's never done because I think, without knowing any intimate knowledge of it at all, I think he's probably just trusting himself and saying, I think I can get more. His agents tell him that. It's what all your agents are going to tell you, that you're going to always make more than anything because they trust you explicitly, as they should. There is that fine line between injury, that is a real thing, that can play a role. Now, the quarterback position, it's never really happened where a guy in this position all of a sudden got hurt and he never, ever made money before something. That would be the only reason that you would sign at this point, because you're like, hey, you're taking a lot of hits or something. Their offensive line is great. I think he feels comfortable with how he feels, but you're also playing yourself into it a little bit more. That is a real thing. They go on to win the Super Bowl. He made himself a lot more money. It's a reality. I think he's banking on that.
No, that's a lot to, first off, you've watched the Dallas Cowboys. You're doing them today. How about the offense, how it's changed? It's down the field. They really have adopted this new theory, deep down the field, throwing it all. Every pass is trying to make a big play, it seems like.
Yeah, when I watch it, it's, and I'll talk about it today a little bit. It actually reminds me of 07 to 9 when I first got there. Jason Garrett's fingerprints are a lot within this, and it's probably a little surprise to people. I'll explain it during the game. But when he first got there, Norv Turner, it was a lot more about the coverage and getting the ball down, how to attack it vertically. And within that, it evolved in certain areas based on offensive line over the years. But now when you have an offensive line like this, you can wait, you can drop back 7 steps. You can play action and wait for a deep over to come across, read it high-low with the third guy, and then drop it down over here. That's not normal in the NFL. If you have that, you can do it, and you're seeing them attack it that way.
Boomer, we are accustomed to hearing something. Pass the mic around.
Hi, guys. Good to see you.
Hey, Boomer. Good to talk to you.
No, honestly, there's another team that the Cowboys are playing today, and that's the New York Jets, and they're going to get Sam Darnold back. And I don't care what anybody says. They've already named him the Sam Chise around here, which is unfair. It's, he's got a lot of pressure on him today going against the Cowboys. But for me, he will bring back, I believe, inspiration to the huddle. For the last 3 weeks, they've had a quarterback back there that they don't believe in. So now they get their starter back, and because this offseason was built around him and, of course, Adam Gase, a lot of pressure now is on him to perform today. I just hope that he doesn't take too much on and try to do too much.
Yeah, here's what it worries me seeing him play today's game. I don't know if I was there in the Jets organization if I would play Sam Darnold today. One, their offensive line is really in shambles. They played 2 new guys last week against Philadelphia. How'd that work out? I know it wasn't Sam Darnold back there. It's still 10 sacks. And, Tony, you've watched film and all that. This Dallas Cowboy pass rush, it is real. Mm-hmm. They go all out every play to get the quarterback, and if they stop the run, then okay. But it's go to the quarterback. So Sam Darnold, his movement, his arm strength, those are big things. A lot of emotion for the Jets today, but this Cowboy defense can be good.
We will give Tony the mic for his last comments here. Tony, have you ever had a game where the game plan is tossed out the window, and now you got to go play sandlot football, if you will?
That was pretty much weekly in a couple of seasons. But no, I feel like this was really enjoyable, and I actually want to say that now I understand it's really not you guys who are the talent. The guys behind the scenes made this work today. This is impressive, and no, this is really impressive what you guys do up here. What they just did behind the scenes, that was really, really, really fun to see.
Hey, so the crew is asking for Tony back now because he understands it's a symbiotic relationship. Hey, buddy, we are looking forward to your call of the game today. Hopefully they give you an excellent game so we can catch that insight.
Here we go. There's DeAndre Hopkins right there in his last 4 games versus the Chiefs. He put up 4 touchdowns. So I guarantee you D-Hop is about to go off.
The NFL Today is sponsored by Jersey Mike's Subs. Be a sub above. Verizon, the network more people rely on. And Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Texans players visited cancer centers in Greater Houston in a show of support for breast cancer patients and to thank doctors and nurses for their exceptional care. The players delivered gift bags, took photos, and signed autographs for the patients and staff. And as we know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the NFL is doing its part in the fight against cancer. Early detection and healthy habits are the best defense against cancer. The NFL and the American Cancer Society have developed the Defender, which is an online tool that provides personalized tips to reduce your risk of multiple types of cancer. Visit NFL.com/crucial catch, that is, to learn more. Time now for a Golden Moments brought to you by McDonald's.
All right, guys, it's Kyle Allen. He's going to find Christian McCaffrey for a touchdown. This game is currently being played in London, and it is being shown on the NFL Network. And Kyle Allen stepping in for the injured Cam Newton. Take a look at this move here by Christian McCaffrey. Allen right now is 26 of 37, 20 of 32, 227 yards and 2 TDs. As they leave 37-26, it is currently being aired on NFL Network. About 4 minutes left to go in this game. 3 minutes now and counting. I have to say one thing. When you talk about backup quarterbacks, we're going to see Gardner Minshew, we're going to see Teddy Bridgewater in our game here coming from Jacksonville. But when you take a look at what Kyle Allen has done for the Carolina Panthers coach, this is going to be a difficult decision for that entire organization when they get Cam Newton back, if they do get Cam Newton back this year.
I agree with you, but at this point right now, I don't see how you can make a change. This kid coming in here is infused in energy and an approach right now that North Turner obviously feels a lot more comfortable with. And, the throws he makes, the poise he displays, the way this team has responded to him. And defensively, this team is the back to the Carolina Panthers of the past. I mean, they started 4 takeaways or 5 sacks, 6 sacks today. They're dominating.
Yeah, you know, I'm looking at Kyle Allen. It's almost fitting because, you know, we have these microphones, and there's a microphone being passed. But look at this defense, though. These guys are getting after Jameis. This has been all game long, and me and Boom were talking about this. There's moments where we'll say, wow, Jameis. And then there's moments where we'll say, why, Jameis? Just like this interception right here. And this isn't a shot to Jameis Winston. It's just that sometimes he puts us in a position where we have to be so very critical of the decisions he makes. He was under duress today, but he still made these decisions. And like I was saying about these microphones, it's fitting because there could be a microphone being passed in Carolina. For so long, Cam Newton was the rock star, center stage.
Tony Romo just said it. The offense, Norv Turner, Dallas has gone to it. You see that when you watch Carolina. They're spreading the field. Right. Guys are getting deep. There's a little creativity to it. And you look at this game today. The Buccaneers stop Christian McCaffrey and the run game. Jameis Winston single-handedly, I hate to say it too, he single-handedly lost this game for him. He did the opening game against the 49ers. And, you know, he's got to learn to do what? Throw it away. Throw it away. Who's thrown it away the most in the NFL this year so far, but quarterbacks?
Probably Tom Brady.
Tom Brady and who? Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So today, every play is like the last play of the game for Jameis Winston, and it leads to trouble, and that's the big reason why they're losing this game so far.
Well, the other part of that is, I mean, just from a quarterback standpoint, you know, what's their options down there? You're talking about Winston. But I'll tell you, Kyle Allen, to me, of all the guys that have taken this over, he has infused a mentality and an attitude with that Carolina Panther team and that is permeated right through the whole organization.
I'm loving this. I'm loving this microphone teamwork here, Bill. No question about it. Hey, folks, time now for the NFL Today picks presented by Allstate. A perfect time for some more. I think we call it mayhem up here because of its upset picks time.
It is mayhem, and I got to tell you, Coach, I'm right there with you about the Rams. I think the Rams are a terrific team, but the 49ers and that defensive line are going to upset the Rams today. You saw how they assaulted Baker Mayfield. Jared Goff better make sure he's wearing his rib pads today.
Ooh. Yeah, right about that. The Pope actually tweeted today, and he hashtagged Saints, which, you know, that shows the logo that the Saints have for the NFL. So I'm going to go with, there it is, and here's the tweet right here. I didn't know he's a Saints fan. I don't actually think he is, but I'm going with the Saints by billion, kafillion, trillion, babillion.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, you know what? I mean, I'm looking at the Houston Texans over the Kansas City Chiefs only for this reason. The Kansas City Chiefs are banged up. 2 offensive linemen out. Defensively, have a hard time stopping the run. And, you know, I'm just not sure how healthy right now as you sit there and look at Patrick Mahomes. I just think when you look at these two teams, a healthier team right now, the Houston Texans, I'm picking them today.
Well, you know, I'm batting 100% so far this year in these upset picks. So my pick, listen to what I'm doing. Don't make faces over there. I don't want to see that.
Everyone's going to check it.
Did you see the Arizona Cardinals play last week? The last couple weeks, the offense is really coming around. And if you've seen Atlanta's defense, you know why I'm taking the Arizona Cardinals at home over the Atlanta Falcons.
Wow.
Yeah, Kyler Murray's playing well. Cliff Kingsbury's opening up the offense. They're doing more. It's fun to watch.
All right, pass the microphone, man. You're talking too much.
My question to the collective guys here in the fraternity, what's happened to the Atlanta Falcons? What's the deal? We got 30 seconds here to talk about it.
Well, it's really, I think, 2 things. Number one, they throw a lot, more than they probably should. I keep talking about how they have to try to run the ball to give their defense a little bit of a break. But I also think that, you know, Dan Quinn runs that old Seattle defense. People know how to go after it. And that's exactly what's happening to them. Be interesting to see how Kyler Murray does today against a Atlanta defense that is really coming under some serious questions.
Hey, let me ask a Super Bowl winning coach. I mean, did we adjust with the game plan?
Very much. Sometimes you have to adapt and adjust. We're just doing that, JB. We're doing a good job of it.
Hey, kickoff is just a few minutes away. We'll get you out to your game, Nate. When?
Next!
The NFL Today on CBS Sports is powered by Ram Trucks.
And welcome back to the NFL Today. Right now, the Saints and the Jaguars are getting set for their matchup. And as we approach kickoff, we send you out live to Jacksonville with our announcers, Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins.
This is TIAA Bank Field, where today the Jacksonville Jaguars will host the New Orleans Saints. The Saints rolling right along these last few weeks with Teddy Bridgewater now calling the signals. The Jaguars and their fans rightly excited about their rookie quarterback, Gardner Minshew, and his performances. And hi, everyone, and welcome to Jacksonville. Greg Gumbel along with Trent Green. Melanie Collins will join us in just a few moments. Neither of the starting quarterbacks here today were starters week 1. But life is tough in the NFL. Injuries hit hard. The New Orleans Saints have turned to Teddy Bridgewater.
And Teddy Bridgewater is very appreciative of this opportunity. If you remember, this is his 6th year, and he's only 26 years old. He had a promising start to his career in Minnesota, 2014, 2015. But just before the 2016 season, he had a devastating knee injury, missed all of that season and most of the next season in 17. So he puts this all into perspective. He's excited about this team, excited about the opportunity. And as I said, he's appreciative because he understands this locker room. That's part of the reason why he wanted to come back and signed a 1-year deal. Another reason that he wanted to come back is his wide receiver, Michael Thomas, and getting him involved. A year ago, he led the NFL with 125 receptions, again, leading the NFL in receptions and receiving yards. And he told us last night, that's his main goal, is to be consistent.
We came into Jacksonville this week thinking we might see this marquee matchup between Mike Thomas and Jaguars quarterback Jalen Ramsey. Melanie Collins, what happened with that?
Yeah, Greg, I know we were all hoping to see that marquee matchup, but unfortunately Jalen Ramsey is officially inactive for the 3rd straight game after practicing on a limited basis this week. So A.J. Boye will be tasked with shadowing the NFL's top receiver today. And when we spoke with A.J., he said, look, it's been very different back there. You know, Jalen Ramsey's a generational DB talent, but he said he's up to the task. He's been preparing for it all week. And as for Michael Thomas, well, he said, I don't care who I go up against, because to him, Greg, they're all what he calls faceless opponents.
All right, Melanie, thank you. To the Jaguars now, who lost their starting quarterback, Nick Foles, to injury week 1. That opened the door wide open for Gardner Minshew, and he has just burst right through.
Well, and if anybody tells you that they thought this was going to happen with Gardner Minshew, they were lying. Minshew went to 4 different colleges. He was a 6th-round pick. Now he's thrust into the limelight, and he's taking full advantage of it. The great thing about him is the poise and command of the offense that he's been able to show so far. This is just his 5th start in the NFL. We're going to show you in Going Green how he's already making veteran moves. He wants to throw out to his right, but he takes his eyes back to the left, gets the safety to move to that side of the field so he can take advantage of the one-on-one up the sideline. Great accuracy on his part, and it helps that Leonard Fournette is playing at such a high level. He leads the AFC in rushing, especially because of the last 2 weeks.
So you have Leonard Fournette running it, Gardner Minshew throwing it. There are some guys on that New Orleans defense who can step up.
There's a bunch of weapons on the New Orleans defense, but they're doing a tremendous job, especially cornerback Marshawn Lattimore. Lattimore, the last couple of weeks, has excelled at being that shutdown corner that they need. A week ago, Mike Evans, no catches, no yards. The week before, Amari Cooper, just 58 receiving yards. So he's doing a great job establishing himself.
All right, Trent, time for the Home Depot Do Project Smarter.
Well, the smart thing for the New Orleans Saints to do is to get Alvin Kamara involved in the offense. He missed some time this week because of injury to his ankle. He is active, will play. His yards from scrimmage, he gets it done on the ground and through the air. Great receiver coming out of the backfield. And for the Jacksonville Jaguars, DJ Chark leads the AFC in receptions and receiving touchdowns. 7 catches, over 30 yards, leads the NFL. And then the matchup that I'm looking for is Cam Jordan going up against rookie Jawan Taylor, the right tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
We are expecting a dandy here today. The 4-1 Saints, the 2-3 Jaguars. And we will continue from Jacksonville here on CBS after this message and a word from your local station.